Next up, we're going to be talking about the power of play to earn. I think there's going to be a big debate about some prepositions here. Is it play to earn? Is it play and earn? Is it both? It all still kind of remains to be seen, but we have some gaming experts here in no particular order. Matt Rutledge from Baze, everybody. Matthew Howells Barbie from Decentral Games. Artur Minacov from Forge Games. Chung from PlateApp. And Rashmi Padhy from Born to Die. Over to you guys.
All right. Let's start debating semantics about play to earn and play and earn. That's why we're here, right? No, so why don't we just start by everyone giving a bit of a brief introduction, who they are, what they do, and it kicks off.
Yeah, happy to kick us off. My name is Matt Rutledge. I'm the co-founder of Baze. In addition to being the Brazilian expansion of Yield Guild Games, we're also a publishing company bringing Web3 games to Brazil and Latam. So we just announced a big partnership yesterday with the Sandbox, where we'll be launching the official Brazilian extension of the Sandbox, where we're bringing the metaverse to Brazil, bringing in all the top brands and IPs and entertainers into the metaverse and creating unforgettable experiences for the fans there.
I'm Matt. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer over at Decentral Games. We're a metaverse gaming company on Polygon. We've built a play and earn ecosystem inside Decentraland. We account for about 60% of Decentraland traffic right now. So if you've been in Decentraland, you've probably seen some of our venues. You should definitely go check them out.
Hey guys, I'm Artur Minacov. I'm the CEO of Jenny Studios. We're building the Forge Arena, which is the first FPS on the blockchain since 2017.
Hi, I'm Sang. I'm head of business at PlayDap. We're slightly different from these guys, where we don't build directly our own contents, but we help transition Web2 content, so legacy games and non-game stuff, onto the Web3 environment. So basically, help integrate any legacy content with NFT functionalities. And our tech is all wrapped up in a single browser environment, so it's very easy for any developer to integrate. Thanks.
Hey, my name is Rashmi. I'm the founder of Born to Die. It's a AAA 3D shooter game in the metaverse. I think contrary to the popular belief, we are building on play-to-earn economy. And I believe that the next few years is what will see play-to-earn emerge really as a big player.
Well, why don't we kick off there? So I think one of the big topics that probably many of you that are in the audience, certainly all of us building in the space, are thinking about a lot is sustainability inside play and earn, play to earn, gaming, GameFi, and
Play to own.
Play to own, yeah, exactly. And you know, there has been a lot of challenges that huge projects, small projects have faced in different ways. Rashmi, I know you have a strong opinion, certainly on like the play to own versus play and earn. So why don't you just give us your potentially hot take? I'm joking. Why don't you give us your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's a hot take per se, but what I believe is, I know that the play-to-earn games so far has started crashing. The economy, the tokens have crashed, hyperinflation has kicked in, and I don't deny that. There are problems in the space. I don't deny that, right? But I think what happens is every cycle, what we see is we come across an innovation, we see it break through boundaries, and that is what happened with Play to Earn, with Axie Infinity, showing what's possible with Play to Earn. It essentially showed that it can be a tool to elevate poverty at scale, right, at poorer countries. Now, obviously, when we saw an innovation, we come across roadblocks, we come across issues. We had a similar issue in 2017, 2018, when blockchain started getting really hammered with, it was not scaling, CryptoKitties crashed Ethereum in a certain way, and people started writing off blockchain, right? But in the bear market, people put their heads down and started innovating and scaling blockchain, building layer 2, layer 3 techs there, right? I believe right now what we saw in play to earn is that issue with scalability, with the sustainability in there. But in this bear market is when people will start building and solving that problem. And by the time we come out of this bear market, we would find play to earn being really, really a strong player. I believe in play to earn simply because I believe that it is it has got the power to change. It has the power to elevate billions of people out of poverty, and that deserves a chance to be solved a problem in general. Maybe a few of them will try and fail, but it's important to try to solve that.
But I guess the counter argument, I'm sure many of us here, right, are all either facing or experiencing some form of challenges when it comes to scalability. And I think the compelling and, in my opinion, somewhat romantic idea that we can solve poverty through GameFi at scale and sustain that, are we almost setting up these players that come in and expect like an income and like moving their lives around this and treating this as like, this is my reliable income for an inevitable like crash of what's going to happen? Because can the economics actually sustain that long term of just value extraction with obviously players? This is great for bootstrapping player liquidity, bringing people in, and that's really great. And it's great to see people really rewarded inside a game, but it can't just be extractive, because it will be the demise of the game long term. That's my take. I know like others here have
Yeah, well, you see, my issue with it is that at the end of the day, we have a first-person shooter, right? And our target is Web2 gamers, right? And how can we onboard them to the platform? And there's a lot of friction there. And in my opinion, it's all about building the actual game and make it fun, make it competitive. And then you use that as you're a gaming studio, you're building a game. Now you have all this extra tech that allows you to offer something new to the players, give them power back in a way, because they basically have a player-owned economy. They decide the prices, they decide what they trade and what they sell. So if you create a proper economy around your game that offers the play and earn, and gives you all these advantages around your tokenomics and your different mechanics and features, I think that's the way to go. So for me, it's all about creating a fun game first, and what I've seen in play to earn, it's a little bit, chaotic, I would say.
I think one thing that we're all really aware of right now is that there is no cookie cutter model for how to succeed as a blockchain game, right? And that's why we see all these examples across the spectrum of play to earn and then play and earn and play to own, which was mentioned. There's dozens of different models, right? But one thing that's I think important to mention is that there's also a spectrum of motivations of players, right? There is a large subset that are playing to earn. Those are early adopters into games like Axie Infinity that we saw. But at the same time, that I think long term, we're going to see an evolution of motivation from players as these games evolve, and especially as we get to these robust AAA titles that we'll be launching over the next few years. That's really when you get to the point where people are playing for entertainment, just like any other game, right? But they're choosing to go into blockchain because of the ownership aspects of whatever the case may be. So I think this is an argument that is kind of timely for this moment in the industry, but I think will kind of blur over time. But I think it is important to point out that there is a convincing argument, I think, for developing a game economy around any individual subset of users, including those that want to play to earn and those that want to play and own. But I think for play to earn specifically, what we're seeing right now with games like Axie is this brilliant model of decentralization. And I love that Zaru was just up here before us because doing amazing work on esports to also decentralize. But I think that's one of the solutions that we're seeing right now in play to earn to make it more sustainable is to give the power to the community to build, create more syncs and more engaging opportunities to keep people in the ecosystem.
I'd just like to add the fact that there are, I just say, quotes of play to earn, play and earn, pay to collect, move to earn, etc., etc. But the thing is, traditional gaming space, we all come from traditional gaming backgrounds, yes? So traditional gaming has always had an incentivized layer where people were farming the game, grinding the game, and actually trading items to make a living. Not necessarily make a huge living that they could quit their day jobs, but
I would argue with that.
Oh yeah, in some cases, yeah. But a substantial incentive to actually enjoy the game on a more deeper level, get more engaged, and that's basically the fundamental of item trading. It can be attached to any game experience and be sustainable in that sense. If you want to be a little bit more greedy and actually pay financial benefits to some of these gaming experience, you have to think of that really carefully through. But in the fundamental layer, there's item trading is sustainable for millions of games out there already on the market, like World of Warcraft, Lineage. It has been with the gamers for decades now. And I think that is a very good start for incentivizing gameplay and enhancing engagement.
Well, I think also on that point, right, is like what we're not saying here is you can't have financial incentives for play and earn, play to earn, et cetera, to work. What I believe, as someone who is very much in the space and has like a game that relies on this, right, like all of us, it can't be the sole motivation. If it's the sole motivation is purely just to extract like cash from the game, what you have not built, you haven't built a game, you've built a DeFi protocol that looks really nice, right? And that can't be sustained. And what we need to deliver, you talk about World of Warcraft, and I think like the common examples like Fortnite, things like that, they built an avid following, people that really cared about the game, they enjoyed game experiences, the whole idea around play and own, which you mentioned, Arthur, right? It's like your idea here is that you play to gain an ownership stake in the game and have skin in the game. You're not just financially invested, you're emotionally invested, you're socially invested in the community. Then things like the token sinks are going to be much more likely to be effective versus just suffering from value extraction. And this isn't a simple thing to solve, right?
Absolutely. I think the ownership is a huge key in this aspect because people are going to be much more interested in playing the game because they have a lot of weapon skins, for example, like in Counter-Strike. So like the ownership is a huge deal, and you can always have the play-to-earn models around it, but it's going to work well if you have a fun game, competitive game. You have all this amazing mechanics when you can trade and earn through the skins trading, and we call them now weapon NFTs, which is basically NFTs are basically skins 2.0 for me because I'm coming from a Counter-Strike background, and it's literally, I've seen what's happening in the NFT space today. It's the same thing as what happened in Counter-Strike with Valve back in 2014, 15. And a little bit, in my background, I used to own OP Skins Marketplace, which was the biggest marketplace at that time for Counter-Strike. And what I've seen is that people are going to be making a lot of money with skins trading, and they're going to make a living out of it. I received emails of people just thanking me and like life-changing moments and stuff. So I think that's huge. And I don't think there's a good thing or bad thing about all of this play to earn, play and earn. I think must be a good balance between all of these amazing new technologies that we're still discovering. We still have no clue how they're going to work out in the end. But the best we can do is to innovate, to be creative, and to keep building, especially in this bear market. So builders out there, keep building.
So I think I will have a different take here. I think the game playability, gameplay, the fun part is already solved by Web2 games. There is nothing new to solve there. I mean, new games to come, yes, but it's already solved, right? The thing that is not solved yet is how do you essentially design an economy that can scale, that can give play to earn, and that can work with NFTs and everything, which is what we are going through today, right? Now, the journey has to start somewhere, right? And now, if we start thinking in Web2 terms, like, okay, there's Fortnite, which is really good. There is Call of Duty, which is really good. So why is that these games coming up, which is not really fun yet? Now we have to start somewhere, and building a Fortnite takes years. Building something like what we see in Web3 is 3 months, 4 months, 6 months game. So what they are trying to solve is not gameplay. They are trying to solve economy. They are trying to solve NFTs. And I think that's what's solving again, right? So I think, for example, if you tell us Born to Die, anyone look up in the on YouTube the video, we are on Unreal 5. We have been building for 3 years. So obviously the gameplay, the experience will be far higher. But for us to build the economy, it took us 9 months to find each and every element of the economy, how to design the NFTs, how to design the economic element so that it's sustainable. And I'm not saying, like Matt mentioned, there is no cookie cutter model which will say that it's going to work. There was expectation that Axie's model is going to work. That is what was StepN also used, a similar model. But we have seen that that's not yet working. So there would be iterations in the models which will come through, and that iterations is better to have it in a simpler game than in a AAA game where you will, if the iteration fails, you cannot really change it quickly, right? So what we are seeing today in the gaming space is essentially solving the NFT and the economy modeling around it, not really the gameplay. I think gameplay we have seen enough. And what happens then is once this is solved, we'll see all the major players starting to adapt Web3 gaming and starting to say that, hey, we will also jump in, and that's when the real change will start happening. But till that economy is not solved, they're not going to jump in. They're going to be on the side and say, hey, let me see and wait out how this is playing out right now.
I think, we talked about this piece quite a lot. We've shared quite a bit. One thing that we probably haven't talked a little bit about, which you alluded to just then, is onboarding people from outside of Web3. And, there's been a huge wave of more like, I would say in like the move to earn kind of space where we've seen everyone's like mom and like grandmother starting to like walk around with Step and things like this, right? It's like it's one of the first few times I would say we've started to really see non-crypto natives start to really explore, and you can kind of see the friction that still exists, and there's a lot of learnings to take on there. What's everyone's thoughts on like how we begin actually going and taking great game experiences and like all of the projects for us? I mean, we are absolutely primarily focused at crypto natives right now. Solving the onboarding challenge of Web 2 is incredibly difficult. It's already difficult enough in Web 3. So what's everyone's thoughts on how we onboard people?
Yeah, well, you see, what I think is that the whole connection of like, oh, you have to create a wallet and you have to, have crypto. That's a huge friction, especially in gaming when you want to onboard millions of users over a very small time. In my opinion, it's really like at the end you build again fun competitive game and you offer them without linking your wallet or anything. They have an account on your game. You keep track of their progress. So you keep track of whatever tokens you release and rewarded them. Their NFTs drops like during the game, for example, and cool stuff like that. And when they want to participate in this economy of trading weapon NFTs, or if they want to trade the token or claim the token, they actually have to create that wallet and link it. So it gives this motivation to the users to actually go and take the fucking time to actually create that wallet and to understand how it works.
It's kind of like the free-to-play of mobile, right? It's like why it was so powerful.
Absolutely. So I think that's the way to go. There's a lot of education that needs to happen. A lot of education, because gamers, we're trolls, we're scammers, we're a lot of things. A lot of scam in the gaming space, especially with skins trading. Like at least with the blockchain, it's much easier to track a skin or track your NFT, and you understand that this might be a
You mean that
scam
Discord bot that I sent my wallet address to is?
Oh, that was you?
Yeah. Oh, great. At least you've got my funds now.
All right. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think that onboarding actually is the single biggest challenge for us in this industry right now. As we make this crossing the chasm into the mainstream audience. We work with an influencer network of 140 million fans across our social media channels, and a lot of these are fan bases that were built in Web 2 that were trying to transition into Web 3. And just like you mentioned, there's this stigma and some pushback sometimes that you might come across. But it is something that you can really break through and have success with. But I think the single key here is to essentially onboard users into games in a way that they don't even realize that they're being onboarded. That it's just a natural experience, right? And I think it's really similar over time. It'll develop just like the internet or any of these other infrastructures or technologies developed. Where early on, you were an internet company or you were a brick and mortar company, right? But now anybody with a lawn mowing startup, just mowing lawns in their neighborhood, can get business through the internet, right? And that's
through NFTs
as well. In the near future, probably. So there you go.
I think that's one of the questions I get from a lot of the traditional companies is, how do you make things easy? I mean, they don't even know about wallets, and they ask me all the time, what do you do with an NFT? What is an NFT? How can we use it? But I think we need to start from simplifying things in the sense that if you want to incentivize your community, do so in a manner that you understand. Don't try and come up with complex tokenomics, but you're already spending marketing monthly budget of like 10 to 20% of your revenue. So instead of putting it, spreading it out in the world, why don't you give it back to your player base? So people who are engaged and do well within your game content, and probably, by high chance, they are already spending more than anybody else in the game because they're stronger. So basically, why don't you pay back some of that expenses and see how that goes? That is a very, very basic form of play and earn and incentivizing the community to be more engaging. And NFT transaction, item trading, it's been around for like decades and decades. Everybody understands that. And there are, like, the industry has matured to a point where there are, like, for example, social login options for wallets. So that's what we're trying to integrate into our marketplace also is you log into a game with a Google account. You can do the exact same thing to a wallet, and there's no mnemonics up front, shooting you in the face. And you can keep everything in the background, but still give them access, mint NFTs, give it to them, make them log into marketplaces with the same Google account, make them trade, and you don't really need like gas fees or high overheads. If you're slightly clever about it, you could actually pay the gas fees for them on some of the main.
What are gas fees?
Exactly.
There's no gas fees on Wax.
Exactly. I mean, it depends on how you structure the infrastructure and which chains you're using. It can be very, very easy adoptable for non-crypto audiences. So I think we should start with simplifying things and trying to gain traction from there, and then trying to work out, as you mentioned before, what is the perfect tokenomic? Because personally, I think it will take a lot of time trying to figure that out.
So I think, I have an exchange background. I work for on the India's #1 exchange, WazirX. But what I find is 90% of the users on the exchange do not even go and find what a wallet is. They don't know what a wallet is, right? I think
That's really reassuring.
Sorry?
It's reassuring.
So, but what I've understood is this. I think in 2017, there was a exchange called Ether Delta. How many know Ether Delta here? Right? Exactly. It doesn't exist, right? I think the likes of Binance, the likes of Coinbase, the likes of WazirX essentially solved the onboarding for exchanges since 2018 to 2021. That the same thing probably is going to happen from 2022 to 2025. And we will not talk about this problem in 25, hopefully. But there has to be solved. And what Artur said, and I think what everyone else is echoing is that it's give the user an experience in gaming. The wallet, connecting the wallet, taking them there. There's a 10-step process today. I think as a guild, you would know that there's a 10-step process for the gamers to onboard to a play-to-earn space. That's a nightmare today. But I think that will get solved by thinking in that direction. I think we are thinking in that direction as well. But I think other companies are also starting to think in that direction now.
Thank you, Rashmi. Yes, indeed. Give it up for these guys. Rousing conversation, good energy, smiles and laughs. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for coming out.